Welcome to the She Believes channel, where we empower women to embrace their true potential and believe in themselves. Today we're diving deep into a topic that affects so many of us. We'll be talking about why women can sometimes be their own worst enemies in relationships and, most importantly, what it takes to prove this idea wrong. If you're ready to challenge some common misconceptions and unlock healthier relationships, you're in the right place. Before we start, if you enjoy our content, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell so you never miss out on our empowering discussions. Now, let's jump into today's topic. Let's start by addressing the myth of self-sabotage. Have you ever heard that women are their own worst enemies in relationships? Well, it's a myth that we're about to bust wide open. Now, here's the deal. Every relationship, whether it's with a partner, a friend, or even yourself, requires some self-reflection. So, ladies, let's take a moment to reflect on our actions and see where this myth might come from. Have you ever felt the weight of impossible expectations bearing down on you? It's almost as if we've been conditioned to expect nothing short of a fairy tale. Society bombards us with images of perfect relationships. Whether it's in movies, TV shows, or glossy magazines, we're presented with an idealized version of love. These portrayals often feature grand gestures, over-the-top romance, and an idyllic, happily ever after. We see carefully curated snapshots of people's relationships. It's the vacation photos in front of a pristine beach, the anniversary posts overflowing with affection, and those beautifully filtered moments that leave you thinking, why don't I have that? And here's where it gets tricky. It's entirely natural to admire and appreciate the joy and love others share. But when we start comparing our behind-the-scenes reality to these highlight reels, we're on a slippery slope to dissatisfaction and self-doubt. It's essential to remember that what we see on the surface often doesn't reflect the full depth and complexity of a relationship. So instead of asking, why don't I have that? Perhaps it's more empowering to ask, what kind of relationship do I want? And what am I willing to invest in it? By understanding that your journey is your own and the path to love is unique for everyone, you free yourself from the burden of unrealistic expectations. Remember, life's imperfections are what make it beautiful. The truest connections are not those without flaws, but the ones where love and understanding shine through the imperfections. In our journey to proving the myth of self-sabotage wrong, remember that your worth is not defined by someone else's relationship highlight reel. It's defined by your unique, genuine, and beautifully imperfect journey. Stay true to yourself and never let comparison steal your joy. Now, let's talk about something most of us can relate to: the fear of vulnerability. It's an experience deeply ingrained in many of us. We often hesitate to show our true selves, our insecurities, and our fears because we're afraid of being judged. But here's the secret to breaking free from this pattern: self-compassion. It's not just about being kind to yourself, it's also about extending that kindness to your relationships. Self-compassion involves understanding that nobody's perfect, and that's okay. One way to nurture self-compassion is by setting realistic expectations for yourself and your relationships. It's crucial to realize that every connection is unique and perfectly imperfect in its own way. Embrace vulnerability. Contrary to what we might believe, it's in those moments of vulnerability that genuine connections are formed. It's when you show your authentic self that you become truly beautiful. Next, let's discuss fostering healthy boundaries. These aren't walls to isolate yourself. Think of them as bridges. They enable you to connect more genuinely with others while safeguarding your well-being. Remember, ladies, your worth isn't dependent on being flawlessly strong or perpetually put together. Your authenticity, your willingness to embrace vulnerability, and your ability to set and respect boundaries make you incredibly strong and beautiful in your own right. So, let's vow to cast aside the fear of vulnerability. Practice self-compassion, set realistic expectations, and celebrate your authenticity. Embrace your beautiful, perfectly imperfect self, and don't shy away from genuine connections. It's time to change the narrative, ladies. Let's prove that we are not our own worst enemies in relationships, but our own best allies. When we replace self-criticism with self-compassion, impossible expectations with realistic ones, and fear with vulnerability, we grow. We grow as individuals, and our relationships flourish. If you enjoy the content, please show your support by clicking the like button and subscribing to this channel. Stay tuned for more empowering content on the She Believes channel. Until next time, believe in yourself and keep shining.